to be born.
And much fighting will be done in the months to come. But the question is, how will we go about it? What's up guys, it's Gamora here. In today's video, I'm presenting my findings from research done on both the Elden Ring Summer Games Fest trailer, as well as a few interviews held with the director Hidetaka Miyazaki himself, after that gameplay trailer was released. If you haven't seen my last video on the subject, I've got that linked up in the card up top, in the pinned comment as well. In some parts of the trailer, I needed to go through frame by frame to pick out some details that you may have missed. So, hopefully, I can help answer some questions that you may have had about the upcoming release, or pose new ones to keep you on your toes. Specifically, today the video is split into two parts. The first will consist of all the gameplay mechanics that have been discussed and confirmed so far. The latter, about some of the details that we know about the world, and even how some of those new mechanics meld with it. Make sure to stick around to the end of the video, as I do have an answer to a question that I'm sure many hold in their head, if they don't already know. But let's get started, shall we? Elden Ring takes us back from Sekiro to a true action RPG. The first thing that means is character customization, which has been confirmed to return. We'll also be able to change our character's appearance, much like in Dark Souls 3. As for playstyle, there will be 10 starting classes to choose from, and for beyond first level, we'll have a level up system also similar to the Souls series, where we level up different attributes to further refine our specific playstyle. We'll also be provided multiple tools in order to evoke our playstyle as well. First and foremost, as usual, is with a variety of weapons. So far, from what footage we've been provided, I've been able to identify access to longswords, daggers, short swords, curved swords with dual wielding, and great swords, as well as spears, staves, great hammers, claws, bows, and if you're feeling cheeky about it, even whips appear to be making a return. As we've seen in the past, some weapons will be available for purchase at certain shops, but most will be found out in the world for us to collect. That being said, now there's a bit more to the weapons than just that. In the past Souls games, weapon skills were previously tied to their specific pieces of equipment. Elden Ring changes the game in that regard by taking upwards of 100 weapon skills and allowing them to be interchangeable with any weapon. This would be akin to, say, taking the animation from the Wolf Knight's greatsword and slapping it onto Smo's hammer, or the dark flame buff from Wilhelm's onyx blade to, well, anything, without having to exploit glitches, that is. Sorry, Infa. From Software is banking that this will open up a lot more freedom in build customization than in the previous titles, and that theme is one that will come up a lot moving forward in the video. Though this does make me curious about one skill in particular. Parry and riposte. Now, if you're like me, then you enjoy parrying the world, or at least trying to. Now, we can see that shields will be present again, and Miyazaki has stated in interviews that counterattacking as a shield holder will be an option, so blocking with swords and shields is certainly present. However, if we slow down this animation of our tarnished fighting with this multi-armed creature, frame by frame, we see that he doesn't really parry the attack, but blocks it and appears to do more of a heavy counterattack that causes a golden glow above the enemy's head. Presumably what follows is an animation akin to one of Bloodborne's visceral attacks, as there was no real parry to call this a riposte. This makes me wonder if parrying is defaulted on shields, or if it's another swappable skill that allows us to parry with a greatsword or a whip, for example. Speaking of frames, if this footage is accurate to the final version, these fast rolls do come with iframes again, as well as the ability to perform quick dodge attacks. Much like Sekiro, we're also going to have a jump button, which we'll be able to use to dodge incoming low attacks and sweeps, on top of making heavy attacks of our own. It will also tie into world exploration, but we'll get to that a little bit later on. For now, just be careful, as fall damage is still present, though compared to Dark Souls it has been reduced to a degree. Unlike Sekiro though, we will be seeing the return of the stamina bar, which, while I would caution against spamming and sprinting to your heart's content, Miyazaki has stated that this iteration of the stamina bar should be less restrictive than previous titles, to further their goals of maximum player freedom. Another of the team's returning innovations from Sekiro is the return of the stealth system. Miyazaki describes it as a simple implementation, but with a wide variety of uses. And while the simple part of that statement is hard to believe, he certainly isn't kidding on the variety of uses. What you'd tend to expect from a stealth system is present. We can crouch down, take cover in tall grass, and sneak up on enemies like the Burger King here to get that backstab. Or try, anyway. But when we combine that with the verticality of the world, and the fleshed out day-night cycle and weather system, which adjust the enemy's AI tactics and aggression levels due to the lower visibility, then you have a whole new world of possibilities. So use these tools to plan your attacks, or even circumvent sticky situations. A word of warning though, there are certain scary enemies that are only present in the world at night, so tread carefully and keep your eyes peeled. Now, let's talk magic. It's no surprise that in a world so richly suffused with magic, that casting spells is also making a return. While we have no way of knowing until release day whether its traditionally known implementation is broken or useless, it sure damn looks good, as we can tell from the return of Soulstream, with gorgeous particle effects. We also appear to be able to hold some form of continuous flamethrower spell like Fire Surge, and I'm sure much, much more. However, branching off from that is a new form of summoning magic. We appear to gain access to a magic cube item that allows the summoning of what appear to be phantoms, called spirit bodies or spirit summons, depending on the translation. The captured souls of fallen foes that we can call forth to aid us in battle, at least where possible. They're even collectible as we further explore the world. Different spirits can be summoned for different roles, like a heavy shielder for tanking or an archer for additional damage. It sounds like we may even be able to issue them commands to a certain degree, like to serve as a distraction before beginning an encounter. These spirit bodies can also be leveled up themselves, but individual ones. Miyazaki emphasizes that we can choose to level those according to our own strategy or taste, as there will also be ones that aren't as useful, but that we may grow attached to. Here's hoping the Burger King can carry his weight if we end up being able to summon him as well. Now, for gamers new to From Software games and for returning Soulsborne vets that may be concerned, there is once again only one difficulty mode confirmed. Miyazaki puts it as lower than Sekiro or Bloodborne, and more along the lines of Dark Souls 3. Nevertheless, intense and gritty battles will still lie in wait for us, though with more ways to go about your gameplay, but with all of the different build varieties, methods of navigation such as stealth, our mount, and of course, with multiplayer summons. Yes, multiplayer summons have been confirmed. Regarding PvP summons, invasions will still be present, as well as optional PvP. They've even added interfaces that give more information to both participants, so that PvP doesn't turn into a giant match of hide and seek. It seems like they've learned from the community's love of the promenade outside of Pontiff Sullivan's chapel, and with the arena mode in Dark Souls 3 on this one as well. Red Phantoms rejoice. For more friendly players in the community, co-op summons have been confirmed as well, with parties up to 4 players allowing for co-op in almost any region at almost any time, including in dungeons. To this end, summon signs have been confirmed to make a comeback. However, there will be special highlighted locations for players to leave their signs. That being said, in order to lower the barriers on multiplayer, you'll no longer need special materials like humanity or embers to play together. This enables players to not only fight together more, but to also explore the world together as well, including in the open fields of the lands between. With a few exceptions, such as not being able to ride our mount in multiplayer. Messages and phantoms will still be present as well, but if you don't want someone to tell you, for whatever reason, that it's safe to jump off this cliff, or to tell you that this is actually an illusory wall, then you can use the password or keyword system, which will filter out traces from the rest of the world and only show you what's from your own group of friends. These groups will have no size limit, and the keyword used to create these groups can be shared freely. Group members will be able to share these more asynchronous elements of the game, and they will be preferentially distributed to the group with a special in-game appearance. I imagine somewhat like the Warriors of Sunlight Covenant. On that note, Covenants will also be present in a similar function to that of Demon Souls, to add a twist of flavor more than anything, and help with role-playing. Praise the sun. Now, almost straight out of left field, crafting is making its way to Elden Ring as well. Specifically, miscellaneous and consumable items can be created on the go while exploring by collecting materials. They've also made a special nod to HP recovery items as well in this regard. There will be more recovery items in the game, as we're expected to be fighting for longer periods of time than ever before while we're out doing all of that exploring. Before we dive into exploring the world, I think we should prime ourselves with our new mount, Rayma. It's hard to believe that there's been so much to talk about that I haven't gotten to one of the most standout features coming to our new game. With this vast open world comes a new way to traverse it, on the saddle of our new companion, who I like to refer to as a spirit yak, Rayma. The name Rayma finds itself traditionally with Finnish origin, meaning wise protector. From seems to be doubling down on this theme by choosing the yak to be our mount as well, as yaks are extremely important to the lands of Tibet, useful not only in load bearing and travel in some of the harshest climates of the world, but people have taken to integrating themselves with yaks more closely in spiritual fashions beyond just farming. It's said that in Tibetan legend, wild yak are said to be as stars living in heaven, and the yak is always imagined as a safeguarding god. How appropriate that in a genre known to have we the players typically spending the majority of our time alone, that we now have a faithful companion with us along the whole way. Mechanically speaking, with what appears to be a rather short animation to summon Rayma, we'll be able to cross vast distances in much shorter time frames, jump over gaps and obstacles, steer clear from danger with a double jump, and of course, the big jump, which appears to be tied to these wind-swept jump pads to gain a lot of elevation quickly. When it comes to combat, certainly we can fight while mounted. However, Miyazaki comments that Rayma is still intended for riding, and that for battle we'll most likely want to dismount, especially with this cool dismount attack animation. However, there will be some situations where we'll likely have to fight on horseback. There's a decent chance that this dragon's attack can only be cleared with Rayma's double jump, for example. Though, I don't think we'll be seeing any mount-only playthroughs anytime soon, as we're not able to take her into the dungeons with us. Regardless, we have a new friend to help us on our new journey, so make sure to keep them safe as we travel through the lands between. What help we will need indeed, given the sheer verticality of the overworld, much of which will be inaccessible without Rayma's help. This is particularly important since we'll largely be searching for our new weapons and weapon skills, many of which are sure to be hidden further out of sight than ever before. To inform you on the specifics of the world, we're going to have 6 major areas of interest, each a domain held by one of Queen Marika's demigod children holding a great rune. Thusly, the landscape of each domain is shaped by the power and influence of these demigods. The lands between them is the overworld connecting them all, which will be scattered with a wide variety of detours that may lead to random encounters and mini-dungeons, such as forts, catacombs, caves, and tunnels. Each of these major domains will contain what Miyazaki calls legacy dungeons that will feel similar in gameplay and exploration to past Souls games, for our dungeon crawling pleasure. With an added note that our new jumping ability will play a good role in expanding our exploratory capabilities. While there is a main route that a certain guidance will usher us along to influence the main story, it has been stressed to us that we don't have to listen to it and can largely take whatever route we wish. While we are free to explore almost right out the gate, there will be certain areas that will not be immediately available, but unlock a little further into the story, much like the new hub area we'll gain access to. Bear in mind that while we're exploring, sometimes events may occur that lead us down different rabbit holes to explore, with offered further goals. Many optional discoveries have been integrated into the world as well, including puzzles that can affect parts of the world. To help us make sense of this grand landscape, a world map has been confirmed for the lands between, with a fast travel feature confirmed as well. Though exploring on Rayma will still be highly recommended to make sure to investigate as much as possible. It's even hinted that players will be able to place map markers ourselves to mark points of interest. However, there will be no map in the Legacy dungeons to emphasize the fun of fumbling around and exploring to understand the structure and gain a deeper understanding of each. Now, beyond the forts and caves planned for the overworld, while there is a large amount of NPCs that are planned, there won't be any large settlements such as towns or villages with bountiful populations, though there will be many ruins of what once was. From wanted to focus on their strengths in this regard. And on their strengths, we've gotten some slight details on the bosses that we'll be fighting as well. While From promises that these will be the most spectacular battles yet, as Elden Ring will be the culmination of all of their experience, to really press the added freedom they wanted to push for this title, it's been confirmed that not all of the bosses are required to be killed in order to finish the game. In actuality, to finish the main story, we only need slay about half of them. This is enacted understandably to ensure that no one could get hard stuck on a dead end of a boss they simply can't beat and give up. Though, to me, that just means challenge accepted. Honestly, why not? The world is clearly suffused with magic, as shown by the golems, pot boys, dragons, and at its heart, the Erd Tree, powered by the Elden Ring and its great runes. To me, a world of magic has always been the premier tool to achieve true freedom of choice, so I like the direction they're taking. Oh, that's right. There was one last detail that was confirmed about the world. Probably the biggest question returning veterans have had about Elden Ring. Of course there's a poisonous swamp again. You didn't even need to think about it. Oh, what fun I'm sure that will be to go through again. If you've made it this far into the video, thank you. I hope you liked it, and even better if you learned something. I'd also like to thank our new subscribers as well. The last video even had my first real commenter. I just wanted you to know that every like, comment, and new subscriber, I appreciate you more than you know. It really warms the heart and keeps me going. We're not sure as to when more information will be released about Elden Ring, but the Twitch channel is almost set up, and I started a Twitter account for this channel as well. So feel free to follow me there for updates on my refresher run on the Dark Souls series. I've got a new project I'm working on with a friend, and I'll try to release some details on that as soon as possible. Until the next one, be safe, weary travelers, and fellow tarnished.